Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. Just before I put this up on my Etsy shop again as a revised junk journal on hyperstamper.etsy.com, I'll just remind everybody that everything in here is authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera. I don't use any commercial products in any of my junk journals. Everything in here is just a little journey through time. This one I covered up the title here, which was Ministering Children. And I've left this gorgeous design, like absolutely fabulous. I added a bit of fabric down here, some vintage fabric and some vintage beads and ribbon here. And this is an antique medallion, dresser medallion, and that is an antique button. So I had an awful lot of fun with those, and let me take you on a little journey inside this wonderful, super stuffed junk journal. Okie dokie. So the original inscription here is on the front, and the original, what am I trying to say here? 1882. So pretty cool. This is tea-dyed paper. It's the only thing in here that's not authentic antique ephemera. And I just wanted that for extra journaling space. We've got a vintage theater arts magazine page, an antique music sheet, this wonderful photograph, mom and her son here, or it could be a grandma, not sure. Look at the suit he's wearing. This is from the 1945, October 1945. Very cool. A vintage Dr. Seuss page there, and this is from the 1920s. Look at that wonderful chicken print there from the children's book. Here we have a floating pocket. So I've got an antique page journaling envelope here, another secret pocket down here, and in there I've got a 1920s banknote. And on the back here is just this wonderful vintage sewing page. And then I've got a vintage medallion here. That was from an earring. It's very cool. It's got a beautiful little rose on it. Neato, Pepito. Okay, this is a page from a 1920s children's book from England. It's wonderful. And then I've got a little journaling spot here. These butterflies were made from a vintage duotang, and this is from 1896. It is the Tivoli Gardens in Berlin, and this is from the Around the World series. And that would have been viewed through sort of the original Viewmaster, and would have sort of had a 3D look to it. Very, very cool. I love this image here of the books and the journals. And then I've got more 1920s banknotes down here. Those are originals. And this here is from 1915 from Girls' Own Annual. And it's got lovely images on here. Let me just open this up for you that you can play with, collage with, or just really enjoy. And look at this one. Isn't that stunning? I love it so much. So I'll tuck that back in here. Some journaling space here. And then I have a vintage playing card here of Niagara Falls, and this wonderful antique photo from 1936, and that is Trixie the dog. I know it's in bad shape, but I kind of love that. This family loved their dog. They have so many photos of their dog Trixie. And that's the Theater Arts magazine. This is a vintage Bird Watcher's Journal page here. I just tea-dyed it a bit because it was pure white. And then this here is a superb postcard. Look at that, from 1906. It's just wonderful. I love it. And then this is a page from a vintage book on antique furniture. So it's really kind of cool that it was antique back in the 50s. So here we go here. That is just a wonderful page from this book, and it is the end page. So you can journal on there as well. And then in our pocket here, we have this wonderful New England Telephone and Telegraph Company receipt, $6.04. That would have been a very expensive telegraph, May 19, 1953. Is that neat? And then we just have a page here from the 50s as well, from a farming community. And this is from a history book. Look at, there's Niagara Falls again. That's wonderful. That is quite an old history book there. And another 1930s children's book page here. This is just a homemade piece of crochet, and under here is actually the ring from a mason jar, the rubber ring, and that was a craft that they did back in the 50s. And then this is a journaling card with all kinds of antique and vintage paper on there. And that pocket there is made from a 1920s children's book. There we like this. We have a double pocket there. I did some hand stamping, more of that bird log. And this is a piece of vintage crochet here that you can play with and do anything you like with that piece. And a 1955 American Road Maps Atlas page. Oregon. And then this is another antique book page made into a journaling tag and more crochet pocketing here. Antique music note. This is some antique paper from a book. I love the aged coloring on there. This is from an this is not from that. This is from an art book. It's the color scheme there. And then this is how to do watercolor painting. Look at the different paints there. Love it. Etude in A flat. And here, more of the same here. And we've got a 1950s receipt in that pocket there. Lots of journaling space here. Another 1920s children's book page that some wonderful child colored. I love it when they do that. And this is from the children's finger songs. And that one is tuck the fingers into the child's neck for the song Shake One Foot Gently, Shake the Other Foot Gently. And you would have done the actions to sing along. There's a wonderful fancy coffee page from a 1950s recipe book. More songs that you use your hands with. There's that early children's book page here, 1930s Monopoly money, an antique stamp here, and this is some vintage upholstery fabric that I turned into a journaling page. I just thought that was really fun. Look at this. Singing in the Rain. How great is that? And this is copyright 1929. But I just left it alone. Whoever had this music book really wanted this to stay together. They taped it to death. And so it now gets to live in this journal, and somebody's going to be very happy to have that. And then back here is a 1938 French almanac page from Paris, and it's just got the most wonderful little satirical cartoons and news bits on here. That was, of course, during the war, so very interesting read if you can Google translate that, or maybe you speak French. And that's it. That brings us to the end of this wonderful book. So, is that great? Hyperstamper.etsy.com, and I hope you'll come back soon. Bye for now.